Hey guys, welcome to Tiny House Customs. I'm Dan. As many of you know, I've got a wood stove, but when I have a wood stove, you know, I have to have firewood, right? So that's going to be a topic in today's video. I got plenty of wood to burn on this property. I could just drive 2 seconds into these woods right here, and there's probably 10 standing dead trees that I could buck up and bring up here. But last year, my landlords had this giant, I think it was an oak tree. It was some type of oak. I don't know what kind of oak it was, but it was definitely an oak tree. They had gotten the tree bucked up into pieces, and then we split it all and stacked it in their barn. So I've got plenty of wood to burn, you know. I'm not going to be burning that much in here, but I do want to have a place to store the firewood. So every once in a while, I'll take the four-wheeler up to their other barn and grab some firewood and bring it down here. But, you know, this is what I've been doing with it so far, just throwing it into the corner. I had a bucket here, but clearly not good enough. I've got cardboard scattered there, you know, kindling over there, and, you know, pieces of kindling that need to get cut up. So it's just messy and sloppy. So in today's video, I'm going to make a holder for this lumber, which is something that I did when I was very young. I don't think many of you know this, but I grew up without a father. I was raised by a single mother. And I would always go out into the neighborhood, and I lived in a really close-knit neighborhood, and I would always draw to, you know, someone else's father and do projects with them or help them with yard work or stuff like that. I never did yard work on my house. I hated doing that. But, you know, they had riding lawnmowers and, you know, weed whackers and cool stuff. I had a freaking push behind that just did barely work, and that was no fun. And one of my neighbors that I used to go over and help with was Chip. Chip used to always get big rounds of wood. He would get maybe 2 or 3 cords delivered, split, but then he'd also get a couple rounds. I always said, why wouldn't you just get it all split? And he's like, well, I like the workout. You know, he takes the sledgehammers out there, the splitting mauls and the wedges, and you go out there after work and just split a couple pieces off of it. Got him out of the house and give him a little exercise. And then me and his son David would take the lawnmower with the trailer on it, load it up with wood, and then drive it up and stack it on these racks. And then one year when I was hanging out with them, all their racks were full, and so we had to make another one. And so I'm gonna basically make kind of what he made. I mean, he made a much bigger one. Mine only needs to be, I wanna do about 6 feet long, and then I don't want the side of it to be taller than the table saw. So I'm gonna do a spot for logs and then a smaller spot for kindling. So it's you know, it's loosely based on his design, but I've seen other people make something very similar to it. But yeah, I just thought that was a cool story I wanted to share with you. So what I'm going to basically make is a giant U. All right, I'm going to do some modifications to it. I'm going to have 2 posts on the sides. I'm going to have a rail on the bottom, and then all the lumber can sit inside of it. Once it's done, you'll be like, oh, I've seen something like that before. So I want something to fit in this area. So, you know, just rough measuring on this is about 5 feet, looks good. And then I want it to be shorter than this, so 3 feet. 5 feet by 3 feet, my final dimensions. And then I want it to permanently stay off that wall. We'll cut 1'6" and we'll come in, yeah, 1'6", right? Oh. No, let's go 1'4", and we'll come in 6 inches. So the total depth of it is going to be approximately 1'4", 1'4" deep. That's all I need to know. So let's cut some lumber. Got 2 at 5 feet. Then I need the 4 pieces that are coming up on the ends. And I'm going 3 feet tall. There's nothing special about them, so I'm just gonna cut 4 at 3 feet. I'm not really going for a perfect piece of work here, so I'm just gonna cut 2 2x4 at the same time. Honestly, if this was anything nice, I wouldn't do this. I don't think that's a good idea to do that. I've seen framers do it all the time. I don't really like it, but I'm just gonna cut 2 at the same time. Kind of efficient. Got 4 at 3 feet. Oh, you know what? I actually need 6 at 3 feet. I need 6. How long is that? Please be 3 feet. Please be, yeah! I need 6 at 3 feet. Got 6. Typically this design doesn't need 6 of them, but I'm gonna do a divider so I can have kindling on one side and firewood on the other. Then I need a couple pieces that go in between that bottom of the U, and this is kind of where I got to do a little more math. Unfortunately, a lot of these logs were cut without, you know, a wood stove in mind. You know what? If you put big ones on the bottom, it doesn't matter. So I went 1'4". It's going to come in 1.5 inches, and so that's 13. And I want it off the wall about 3 inches. So 3 inches brings it to 13, and then 3 inches, 10 inches. Yeah, so cut a couple of 10 inches. As far as materials used, I think I used 4 2x4s, plus I had a scrap. That was about 4 feet long. And then for scrap, nothing. I have no scrap, but I did end up with, like, you know, 10 inches of scrap, which is fine. So I've got a couple of these pieces. We'll show you how it all goes together in a second. All right, look at me. I'm like IKEA over here. I just unpacked a flat box. Oh, peanut, good thing that didn't hit you. God, that did hurting. So I'm just going to use screws to assemble this. You could use nails. I mean, screws are going to have a better hold on it. Nails will come loose if it keeps wiggling and stuff. But so I'm doing the end pieces long so that this butts up against the back wall, so it will never shift back. So I got these pieces that are going to go in the middle here. I'm going to use that to figure out where this one goes. Going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Golly, I should really pre-drill it. So when Chip would build these, he ended up putting them in the wood. So I think he used pressure treated for the base, and then he used regular Doug fir for the sides. And he would take just 2 cinder blocks and put them down on the ground, and then put this frame on those cinder blocks and get it level so that it wouldn't fall apart, I guess. I think that's what he did. I remember him talking about something like that. I can't remember exactly what was said, but I think he was leveling it. But what's going to end up happening is a lot of debris is going to fall down in between this, and so I want to raise this up off the ground. I won't be able to hold as much wood in it, but when I want to clean the shop, I'm going to most likely take a freaking leaf blower in here and just blow. So if I have a gap underneath here, I'll be able to just blow, and it'll blow out all that debris. So I'm going to hold these down 3 inches. So I'm just going to take 2 blocks, put it underneath there, and put the legs up like that. I think that's plenty good. I think that's a great idea. Yo, these are just splitting like they're nothing. What in the world? I can't believe how much this is splitting. When are you going to stop? So I was taking a little break, and I was looking at the work that I had just done, and this is just not me. I'm sorry. I don't know if the camera can capture these cracks in this wood, but it's absolutely disgusting. I am mortified that I did that. Like, what? Why? Like, come on, slow down. Sometimes when I'm making videos, I feel like I need to go like quicker to kind of like be, you know, be fast and quick and upbeat and all that shit. Long story short, I kind of just go quick when I'm making videos, and I kind of like look past the mistakes and the hack work, like, whatever, not a big deal. You know, the chimney pipe that I did the other day, because I filmed it, wasn't really happy with like how it turned out. It works fine, but sometimes I need to just slow down and do a better job at what I'm making while I'm filming it. So what I'm gonna do here is just take this apart. I've already cut 2 new pieces. I'm gonna pre-drill everything and stop this splitting madness that I've done. So real quick, ready? We're just gonna fast forward to this being done. You know, come on. What did that take? 2 extra minutes? So there's the U. I mean, basically you can build this any size you want. You can go as long as you want. Obviously you'll need some type of support in the center here, but you can make this thing as long and as tall as you want. You also got to consider that there's weight pushing out on those tops. And you know, I thought about doing like a metal cable across it to kind of pull it together, but when good old Chip built his, he didn't do anything like that, and it was fine. He would put a couple of these in the center. I guess they're I don't know if they're really needed, but that would add some structural rigidity to the holder. But That's basically it. You can build it as wide, as long, or as tall as you want. This would work for what I've got, but I want to make a spot for kindling and then firewood. So I'm going to add 2 more legs here, and then I'll have just a really narrow spot for kindling, because, I mean, you think maybe 8 inches, 9 inches of kindling, that's a lot of kindling, and then, you know, really you always use kindling, I hope I'm saying that right, kindling? It sounds so wrong. But you only use that to start your fire, and then you use your firewood to continue the fire. So you'll burn way more firewood than you will kindling. Kindling, that's such a weird word. Kindling? Kindling? Next month's tool is going to be new batteries for the drill. Those things are done. It's so hard. So I've been editing a lot of videos that have been like filmed in the shipping container, and I realized that I'm like lacking creative camera angles. The width of this thing is so narrow. It's almost like filming in my tiny house. It's so impossible. Like, I can't put the thing against the wall. A lot of this video I've been just putting the camera with the tripod all the way up on different things in the shop, which is working well, but, you know, lacking exciting new camera angles. That's a big thing you got to do. So you see what I got here? I got a bunch of spots. I got maybe a quarter of a cord can go there. I'm gonna put one more screw there. And then I can do all kindling right here. It's nice. Kindling, that's such a weird word. So I'm gonna put in a bunch of blocks. I'm gonna put 1 block here, 1 block here to kind of give this some strength, because you gotta think there's gonna be pressure pushing on this. Obviously some type of gusset would be a good idea here. Yeah, right here. Yeah, put it right here. That's where you're gonna put it, right there. Yeah, that's where you're gonna put it. All right. You know, some plywood, some 3/4 plywood would be a good idea. But you're taking away that. I mean, it would be a good idea. Regardless, I don't think that's a bad idea at all. But I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna use some blocks. I used to love this tool, but now that tendonitis, man. Whoo! Oh, I'm telling you, don't even use your right hand. I put in 5 wire staples the other day. I was laying in bed the other day, and I was just sitting there, and I'm like, oh man, it hurts so freaking bad. No hammer. That thing, I made a frame for it. I'm gonna put it back in the frame and hang it on the wall. I'm done swinging a hammer. I would say that's done. It's a little cute, tiny little wood holder. Hi, Pernette, what are you doing? What are you doing, Pern? You know, one thing I love about this wood stove, it's really dried out, the container. That floor was, I mean, obviously I dumped a couple gallons of water on it the other day, but it's dried it out, and it's really nice now. So these side pieces, I ran them long so that they would butt into the wall, so that this rib right here would end up off the wall. So there's no way it would get pushed back, and I couldn't get the logs to sit in there good. I remember stacking these logs with Chip, and he was real particular about how the logs stacked, and that was because he was splitting like non-seasoned wood, so he wanted a lot of air gaps in it, so everything had to be loose. Once he stacked it down into the basement, you know, once it had seasoned for a year and it was in the basement, he would stack it a lot tighter to get more onto the racks. So I definitely have to work on my kindling supply, but I got a few pieces. One night when I'm bored, I'll come out here and take those and hit them with a hatchet and break them down into good pieces, and I'll fill that all up. You know, I know burning pine's not like the greatest thing in the world. It has a lot of creosote that builds up in your pipes, but I cut a lot of pine, so burning it a little bit isn't going to be that bad. If I have to redo the flue next year, it's like under $100 to redo all that work that I did with new chimney pipe. But you can also clean it out every year. We'll see. When we get to that next year, we'll weigh the pros and cons of what I should do. My microphone just died on that thing, and I'm not sure where I left off, so let's just go back. But no, you didn't want to end the video. You want to come up here? Come on, come here. Come on, yeah, come on up. All right, this is cool. What does this movie hide out? Well, you're not really hiding out, are you?
Well, you can build a little bed for me, and I can just show.
You know, like I said earlier, growing up without a father, I really gravitated to other men in the neighborhood I grew up with, and I think each and every single one of them had an impact on my life in some way. and made me who I am today, and taught me stuff even though, you know, I was a little kid and just like, hey, dude, running into walls and stuff. But I was paying attention. I think about that now when the neighbors' kids come over here. I'm always throwing useless knowledge at them. You know, who knows where they'll end up, but I feel like I've become pretty good at what I do and how I think, and it has a lot to do with the neighborhood I grew up in. So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are new to my channel and you like this kind of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you like this video and thought it was kind of cool, give it a thumbs up. I thought this was cool. This is a cute little wood holder. Yeah, give it a thumbs up. If you have some knowledge you want to throw down, leave it in the comment section below. I'd love to know what you think of this. Yeah, it's got airflow underneath it. I mean, I've never seen one with airflow. But yeah, this is going to be solid. It'll be good for me, and I can still work here. But leave your comments down below. And as always, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Fire is screaming hot right now.